Still haven't finished Daredevil. Still haven't watched Jessica Jones. Haven't even watched Stranger Things. But now I have watched all 26 episodes of Fuller House. This is a cry for help, y'all. Can you help me? Hi, I'm Andre with a review for You Better Reviews. Fuller House Season 2. I'm gonna give you the good, I'm gonna give you the bad, I'm gonna give you the nerdy. There might be a couple of plot point spoilers in this, but nothing to really ruin the show for you. Besides, what spoilers are really gonna ruin the experience of Fuller House? You either already saw it or you're never going to see it. I will admit, Fuller House was a guilty pleasure of mine. I enjoyed the show. I noted all the faults and all the problems with it and all its cheesiness. I knew what I was expecting with Fuller House, and I got what I expected, and therefore I didn't feel bad about it. You don't go into Fuller House expecting something greater than what a show called Fuller House will give you. And I felt the same way going into Fuller House Season 2. What's weird is I actually ended up watching the whole show in one day. I did one of those things where I watched some of the episodes and I got like really tired. Maybe my brain got numb from too much Fuller House. So I took one of those weird like late afternoon, early evening naps. You know where you like fall asleep at like 6 p.m. and it's not normally when you go to bed, so you wake up at like 2 or 3 in the morning because your body's like, well, I slept. And you're like, well, wait, but it's now 3 in the morning. What am I going to do now? I guess watch more episodes of Fuller House. Seriously, cry for help! Fuller House Season 2 is definitely the transition period for Fuller House. Because in Season 1, the whole novelty was, hey, this whole cast is back together. The 3 main leads are now grown up and they're the leads of the show. We get to throw out all the catchphrases and the moments that you love from Full House, all packaged into 13 episodes. Cut it out, quit it, have mercy, how rude, oh my Lanta, it's all there. Except for the Olsen twins. So now when you go into Season 2 with this show, it's like, well, you kind of did a lot of that, and you can't really just do all that again, so now what you got for us? And for some of the things that they give for us, it's actually pretty decent. It actually shows some growth with the show. And then there's some things that you see where they're trying to dip back into that well again, and it doesn't really work so much the second time. These actors are great. They're having a great time. Their chemistry is wonderful. Again, the best part of this show is when Candace Cameron, Jodie Sweetin, and Andrea Barber are together. They are just obviously friends. So whenever you see them together on screen, their chemistry is just perfect. And they have 3 different styles of comedy and 3 different ways of presenting themselves, so you never feel like you're seeing 3 of the same person. And I just think that's what makes it the best. When they are together, doing things together, it's great. But I do have to say that I enjoy the kids a little bit more this time around, particularly Max. I remember I made some jokes about Max, how he seemed like he had that Michelle school of acting where he was doing a line, but it was clearly a line given to him right before they filmed, and then he was talking more to the audience. But he's a little bit more grown up now, so he's more into the scene, and he's actually pretty funny in this. They got this whole banter with him and Fernando. Yes, Fernando is back, where Fernando is moved into the house, of course. Max is like, you don't live here, and they keep having this back and forth, and it's really cute because they argue with each other, but then when something happens with Max where he's having a problem with a project at school, Fernando is actually the one that helps him out. So it's a really nice little thing there of like, they have this rivalry, but when they need each other, they help each other out. I thought that was cool. They even give Max a girlfriend for a little bit in this show, and let me tell y'all something. Max is a player. Forget all the DJ relationships, forget all the Stephanie relationships, forget Kimmy and Fernando. The true relationship in Fuller House Season 2 is Max with this little girl. This dude is a straight up pimp with this girl. She ain't spent 5 minutes with this dude and she's like, that's my boyfriend. They are so freaking cute together. I think it's like the last episode or last couple episodes. So if you just want to see that, just skip to those episodes. But man, Max, much respect, dude. Much respect. Respect Knuckles on you, man. That you held it down. Smooth Max Fuller. And Fernando I actually enjoyed more in this show. They made him a little bit more fleshed out character now that he's a regular character. He is a series regular now. He's even in the opening title sequence. But he's not just the, hey, I'm the Latin lover Argentinian. I knew he was from Argentina this time. He's actually being more fleshed out. You're seeing more emotions from him. You're seeing him interact with other members of the house. So I'm glad they gave him just a little bit more to do and flesh him out as more of a character. And his comedy timing is really funny. The accent is still there. He's still doing that whole bit, but he is actually very funny in this. Good job to him. Since Fuller House, I guess, knew that they were coming out in December, they actually made a number of special episodes for the holidays. So they have a Halloween episode, they have a Thanksgiving episode, they have a Christmas episode. They even have a New Year's episode where they celebrate 2017. So Fuller House technically is ahead of us in the future. Hey Fuller House, can you tell us how 2017 is going? How's Trump doing? Is the world doomed yet? But most importantly, Is the Power Rangers movie good? So I thought it was cool because now you have some holiday specials to go with your Fuller House. I particularly liked the Halloween episode. It seemed like a lot of budget went into just that one episode. Zombies to scare the kids. The makeup on them is really impressive. And in the same episode, they have Fernando and Kimmy do this I Love Lucy homage. Fernando, of course, is Ricky Ricardo. Kimmy Gibbler dresses up as Lucy. And oh my gosh, Andrea Barber, she looked just like Lucy. Like, it was insane. Like, if there was ever any talks of doing like a reboot of I Love Lucy, you know, like Lucy jumps out of the television from the 50s and joins us in present day. She could play her. Lucy finds a portal and ends up in modern day America. Doesn't know what to do, but she just wants to be in the show, Ricky. Oh, I shouldn't say things like this out loud because Hollywood will listen. And then before we know it, we've got a Lucy movie where Lucy is jumping out of the television. And they make like some electronic dubstep remix of the theme song. Wow, 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 wow. Don't do it. We get some Full House cameos, of course. Jesse, Joey, Danny, they all come back. Rebecca still looking freaking hot. Lori Loughlin, what are you doing with yourself? Please tell me your secret, how you continue to get finer as you get older. It is baffling to the mind how sexy you keep getting. They even pulled out some cameos I wasn't expecting, like, I'm gonna say her name wrong, Marla Sokolov? She used to play Stephanie's bad friend that always got her in trouble. They bring her back because they talk about how they want to reunite the band Girl Talk, which is from an episode of Full House, complete with singing Ace of Base, I Saw the Sign, and it opened up my eyes, I saw the sign. So they actually bring her back to join the band, and of course they get her right back in the bad habits, except this time instead of getting Stephanie to smoke or drink, she's trying to get Stephanie to vape. You know, it gets modern. Then there's an episode where DJ and Kimmy go to their high school reunion, so they meet some of their classmates, which are characters from the series, and they even brought a bunch of people back. I did not know that freaking Scott Menville, the voice of Robin from Teen Titans and Teen Titans Go, was the whatever guy. You remember when Kimmy Gibbler was dating a dude named Dwayne, and all he would say is, whatever. That's the voice of Robin. I saw him on screen, I was like, that's Robin, dude! Whatever. They even found like some former person that I don't even remember her. She was in a couple of episodes, and apparently she was like a rival of Kimmy Gibbler's or something like that. They got her to come back. It's crazy how many people keep coming back to this show. The only person that didn't come back, you know Jason Marsden, he's the voice of Max from a Goofy movie. He was a former boyfriend of DJ from the original show. I've met Jason Marsden a couple times. He's a really cool dude, but he didn't come back. They got Hal Sparks instead to play his character, and it's weird because they do the whole like applause, like, oh, he's back, and I'm just gonna go, that's not him. That's a different dude altogether. New Kids on the Block, there's a whole episode around them, and that was actually one of my favorite episodes. It was a nice throwback all around. It was like the Fuller House girls from the show that you remember from the 90s and the 80s, and then here's New Kids on the Block, a group you remember from the 90s and the 80s, and they're together and they sing the old school songs, and even old Donnie, who couldn't show up, shows up through an iPad. You know, like, it was neat. It was a very cute episode. Those are the types of cameos I think make sense for a show like Fuller House. There is this hilarious moment where the three of them are playing like a game night, but they all bring dates and DJ didn't have a date. Matt brings over a girl that he's dating. Steve brings over a girl that he's dating whose name is CJ, who acts exactly like DJ. Wah, wah. So the personal trainer that Matt is dating at the time sets DJ up with her grandfather, who's played by Alan Thicke. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome and sweet, and also so sad because Alan Thicke just passed away. So it was like, oh, when he walked through the door and like everyone's cheering, I was like cheering, but I was like, oh, Alan Thicke, man, the dad from Growing Pains, the guy that wrote the theme songs to Different Strokes and the Facts of Life. There he is. And he has this really funny thing because his name is Mike, and every time he talks, he goes, Mike here, Mike here. I hope they get more cameos from TV shows that were on at the same time as their show. It's funny because the show makes a reference to Urkel. There's a part where Steve says that he built a nativity scene, but they didn't get their baby Jesus, so they put an Urkel doll in there instead. But then I thought, well, wait a second, didn't Urkel actually show up in Full House? So he's actually part of this universe. So how do they have an Urkel doll if Urkel's a real person in the world of Fuller House? And then I realized I'm trying to think of philosophy about Fuller House. This is a cry for help. They also incorporated more flashbacks to the show, so they would have these moments where they were talking about, oh, remember when we did this? And they would flash back to classic clips of Full House. I like how they incorporated that into the show. That was neat too. There's some moments in this show that just are very touching and sweet, and it has the feel, the heart of Full House without feeling like you have to do the referential material of Full House. For example, there's a moment where everyone in the house gets sick. And so Matt, who's been the dude that DJ's been kind of liking, but trying to choose between him and Steve, comes over, helps out, and they have this really just sweet moment where Matt is in bed with the kids reading them a story, and it just shows how even though he's not a part of the family, he's being a father figure to these kids, and DJ looks on and sees it, and it's just a really sweet moment. It was something that was like, oh, there you go, like that's the heart of this show that's now still unique to you. I like that. So the show was finding its footing about how to still be a little nostalgic, but at the same time being something fresh and original and new. The problem with Fuller House though, man, is like they'll step outside of that comfort zone. And the moment that they do it, it feels like they get scared and then they jump right back into that well of let's use those catchphrases again. Oh, we gotta say how rude. We gotta say have mercy. Freaking Joey's gotta pull out that damn woodchuck again. I like Mr. Woodchuck, okay? It's really rough word, but it's like, come on, dude, is that it? Can you do more with Joey? You gave him a wife and 4 kids in this series, which I don't even remember when that happened. When did Joey get married and have 4 kids? Was that something that happened between Full House and Fuller House? Did I miss something from season 1 when they mentioned that happened? I don't remember him having a family, but all of a sudden it was like, oh, hey, he's a family for Joey. Sometimes it wants to be new and sometimes it wants to still be Full House with older people. I just wish the show would almost believe in itself more because I think that's when it works best. We know these characters. We know their quirks. We know their catchphrases. We know everything there is to know about them. If we're watching Fuller House, we've seen Full House. We got it. So I think all that people are oddly enough asking for now is we want to see the future of these characters. What's next for them? And I think that all the elements are there. It's just sometimes the show works with those elements and sometimes the show ignores those elements. It also doesn't know if it wants to be a show for family, for kids, for adults. Like one minute you get a Disney Channel Nickelodeon style joke. The next minute you get a reference to Full House. And the next minute you get Fernando in a tiny pink bathrobe that hardly covers up his bottom parts. And then they have him bend over to pick something up and they literally pixelate his butt and he's doing it towards the faces of Kimmy and Stephanie and DJ and his daughter Ramona and Ramona's friend. Everywhere you look, everywhere you go. The DJ has to choose Matt or Steve thing has to stop, okay? I'm done with it. I don't want it anymore. DJ is kind of like the Danny Tanner of the group. She's a little uptight, a little stuffy, so when Kimmy and Stephanie kind of pull her out of her comfort zone and have her do something a little bit different and weird and fun, that's when the show is entertaining. But her just constantly being like, well, Matt's this and Steve's this. I'm like, all right, get out of here with that. And then there's a moment in the show where you feel like, oh, the choice has been made. We feel like we're done with this. But then when you're thinking it's all said and done, DJ and Steve look at each other and they're just kind of like, but maybe. I'm like, no! Stop this! So Stephanie ends up with Jimmy Gibbler. Yes, Kimmy Gibbler's brother. And while Kimmy is like eccentric, weird, crazy, Jimmy is like this idiot savant. Kind of like a Kelso from that 70s show type. But then you find out that he'll say something very profound or something very emotional. And you find out he's a photographer and he cares about traveling the world. And so you see there's this side of him that's very sensitive and caring. And that's what Stephanie attaches to. Jimmy is basically going to be the Becky for Stephanie, like how Uncle Jesse was a womanizer, meeting a new chick every week, but then Becky came along and she was the one that tamed him. So I'm guessing that Jimmy Gibbler is supposed to be that for Stephanie. The only thing is it all happens in this one season. I think it was something that would have allowed to grow for a little bit where Stephanie still wanted to be wild, but then at the same time she kind of was digging Jimmy. That would have been great. But yeah, dude shows her some National Geographic photos and then it's like, we're boyfriend and girlfriend now. I mean, actually in the very first scene, in the very first scene, they make out. And have you noticed that I haven't really talked about Ramona that much, Kimmy Gibbler's daughter? That's because they pretty much pushed that girl to the back. For some reason, she is not in the show this much. And whenever they put her in the show, it's always like, I need to dance, or I'm gonna kiss this dude, but then this dude made fun of me online where everyone could see it. I'm mad that he made fun of me, but then he apologized for making fun of me. So now it's cool and I might kiss him again. That makes sense. So when I did the season 1 review, I made a joke about how I said that Full House should just stay white. Like it's one of the few shows where I say, you know what, don't even worry about trying to be diverse. I hold on to that. This show, for some reason, man, when it comes to sexuality or diversity, it's always weird. You know how when like someone who clearly is not hip tries to be hip, like, oh, if this old grandma says yo diggity, then that's gonna be hilarious because she's clearly not a young black dude. That's like Fuller House's comedy in a nutshell. They had this whole Irish bit. They have this whole bit with a gay dude. They have this whole bit where Danny Tanner is having a midlife crisis, so he buys like a sports car, then dresses up with bling on, and is always like, yo, what's up? Peace out. Isn't it hilarious that Danny Tanner is saying these things you think black people would say? Yet there's like only 3 black people that have ever shown up in Fuller House. I counted. One was the receptionist at DJ's Veterinarian Hospital. One was Max's teacher. One was a limo driver for New Kids on the Block. Did I miss one? There is literally a part in one of the episodes of Fuller House where Max's little girlfriend, little tiny white girl, says, "You didn't choose the thug life. The thug life chose you." Let's make DJ rap and dab. DJ Tanner dabs. This is your fault, internet. You made this happen. There's another jab at the Olsen twins for not being on the show. There's a reference to Captain America Civil War, which I thought was very interesting because Fuller House is a Warner Brothers show. Warner Brothers had some pretty big superhero films come out this year. They had Batman v Superman and they had Suicide Squad, and they had the opportunity to name drop one of those in the show, and instead they chose Captain America Civil War. There you go, DC people. If Warner Brothers themselves can't respect their own franchise and they gotta pull a Marvel movie for a reference, what do you expect for the rest of us? And boy, Netflix, yo, Netflix threw some shade at YouTube in this show. So Stephanie is a singer. They make this music video for her and they put it on YouTube and they try to watch it, but an ad pops up before they can actually watch it. And they do this whole dialogue of like, don't you hate all these ads that keep popping up on these YouTube videos? If only there was some service where we could pay a monthly fee where we could watch anything we wanted without any ads or commercials. And I was just like, God dang you. Touche, Netflix. Touche. YouTube roasted. With Fuller House Season 2, I feel pretty much the exact same way I feel about Fuller House Season 1. You know exactly what you're walking into when you say, I'm gonna watch Fuller House, but at the same time, I can see through all the nostalgia and the throwback and the sitcom cheesiness that there is kind of a good show in there that could blossom into something great. I know it might be a risky venture. I know there may be some people who will not appreciate the show if you're not just throwing out all the catchphrases every 5 minutes, but I think there's something to be said about a show that grows, particularly a show that we watched 20, 30 years ago that's now trying to grow into a show today. I'm not asking for masterpiece here. It's a sitcom. I know what I'm getting with a sitcom, particularly one with a laugh track, but I think that there's still a little bit more that can be done with this show than just relying on its nostalgia, because I do like the people in this show. I like the cast in this show. I even like the people that are working on this show. Jeff Franklin, who produced Full House and is producing this, he just bought the Full House house. The Full House house in San Francisco was up for sale. He paid money to get the actual house. That's how much he cares about this show. So I respect that, man. And that's why I had fun with this show. I still know what I'm getting. I still appreciate its cheesiness. It is junk food for your Netflix, y'all. If you just got stuff to do and you just need noise in the background, Fuller House is that show. And just every once in a while, you think it's noise, and then you'll kind of turn around and start looking at it. And you're like, you know what? Not too bad, Fuller House. I wasn't expecting much from you, but every now and then, you surprise me. Did you watch Fuller House Season 2? Let me know in the comments, and if you did watch it, let me know what you thought about it. Thumbs up this video, and if you're new here, click that subscribe button, and also ring that bell so you can know about future videos that I make. I love you like a play cousin. I'm Addy 5000 Chain Chomp. Yeah.